Have you ever felt nervous or unsure when you need to make a phone call in English? Maybe to book an appointment, call a restaurant, or ask for help? If so, you're not alone. Hello and welcome to our English Shadowing podcast, where you'll practice real-life English phrases by listening, repeating, and gradually gaining confidence. Today's episode is all about making phone calls in English, a situation many learners find challenging but also rewarding once you've got the basic structure and expressions down. In this episode, we'll walk through common types of phone calls, like making appointments, asking for information, confirming plans, or even dealing with customer service. I'll provide practical examples, model sentences, and shadowing practice so you can hear natural rhythm, polite tone, and short, clear language that sounds native-like. This lesson is designed especially for beginners, so you don't need to stress about complex grammar. Just focus on listening, repeating, and imitating. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to plan what you want to say, use polite greetings, ask questions clearly, and respond politely to different replies. You'll also learn how to close the call in a friendly, appropriate way. We'll take it slow, explain everything in simple English, and give you confidence to dial the number next time without hesitation. But first, before we dive into the structure, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had to make a phone call in English? How did it go? Was there a time you felt stuck or proud of your English speaking? Please share your story below. It might help someone else feel more confident too. When we think about making a phone call in English, it helps to break the call into clear parts. The greeting, stating your purpose, asking or answering questions, and ending the call politely. Just like any conversation, a phone call has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But what makes phone calls harder is that we can't see the other person's face or body language. That's why it's extra important to speak clearly, use polite expressions, and listen carefully. Let's start with the greeting. When you call someone, a simple and polite way to begin is by saying, "Hello, this is your name," or "Hi, may I speak with person's name?" For example, if you're calling your friend's office, you might say, "Hello, this is Alex. May I speak with Sarah, please?" If the person you're calling is not available, the person who answers might say, "I'm sorry, she's not in right now. Would you like to leave a message?" You can answer, "Yes, please tell her Alex called," or "That's okay. I'll call back later." If you're answering a call instead of making one, you can say, "Good morning, this is your name. How can I help you?" Or, "Hello, who's calling, please?" These greetings sound natural and polite, and they give the call a friendly start. In real-life English, native speakers often speak quickly, so practicing these simple expressions will help you understand and respond more confidently when the time comes. After your greeting, the next important step in a phone conversation is stating the reason why you are calling. This might feel difficult at first, especially if you're nervous, but having a few simple, polite phrases prepared can help a lot. One very useful expression is, "I'm calling to," followed by your reason. For example, you can say, "I'm calling to make an appointment," or "I'm calling to ask about your opening hours." This structure is clear, respectful, and professional. If you're calling a company or service, you can also say, "I'd like to check on," or "Could you help me with?" For example, "I'd like to check on my order status," or "Could you help me with a billing question?" These expressions are gentle and friendly, which makes the person on the other end feel more willing to help. If you're not sure you're calling the right place, it's okay to ask, "Is this the ABC company?" Or, "Am I speaking to the front desk?" This helps you confirm that you've reached the right person without sounding too formal. Sometimes we get nervous and forget what we want to say. If that happens, take a breath and say, "Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I just wanted to ask about." Being honest and calm makes the conversation more human. Also, remember to speak slowly and clearly, especially at the beginning of your call, so the listener can understand you even if your accent is different. Practicing these kinds of sentences regularly, by repeating or shadowing, will help you become more fluent and confident. Keeping a phone conversation going smoothly means you not only speak clearly but also listen carefully. On the phone, we can't rely on gestures or facial expressions, so listening becomes even more important. Sometimes the person on the other end might speak too fast or use words you don't understand. Don't worry. That happens to everyone, even advanced learners. The key is to stay calm and use simple expressions to ask for clarification. You can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that, please?" Or, "I didn't catch that. Could you say it more slowly?" Another very helpful phrase is, "Could you spell that for me?" if you need to write down a name or address. Let's say you're calling a hotel and they say your reservation is confirmed for August 14th at 3 p.m., but you didn't hear it clearly. You can respond with, "Just to confirm, that's August 14th at 3 p.m., right?" Repeating information back is a good strategy to check that you've understood correctly. It also shows the person that you're paying attention. If someone asks you a question and you need a moment to think, just say, "Let me think for a moment," or "That's a good question. 1 second, please." These small phrases give you time to respond and make the conversation feel more natural. It's also okay to admit if you don't know something. Just say, "I'm not sure, but I'll find out and call you back." Being honest and polite helps build trust. Remember, mistakes are okay. Every phone call is a chance to practice and improve your listening and speaking skills in real situations. The more you use these expressions, the more natural they'll feel. Now that you've learned how to start a call, state your reason, and keep the conversation flowing, let's talk about something that makes a big difference on the phone: your tone of voice and how you sound. Since the listener can't see your face, your voice becomes your body language. A smile, even if they can't see it, can actually be heard in your voice. Try it now. Say, "Hello, how are you today?" once without smiling and once with a smile. Can you hear the difference? That friendly tone helps the other person feel more comfortable and makes your call more pleasant. Also, it's important to speak clearly but not too fast. You don't need to speak like a native speaker. Just aim to be polite, calm, and easy to understand. Phrases like, "Please," "Thank you," and "I appreciate your help" go a long way. For example, if someone helps you, you could say, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time." If you're asking for something, add a "please" at the end. "Could you send me the information, please?" These expressions sound friendly and respectful. Now, before we go on, let me ask you, are you enjoying this episode so far? If you're learning something new and this is helping your confidence, please take a second to like this podcast and subscribe to the channel. It really supports the show and helps more learners like you find this helpful content. Plus, you'll get notified when new shadowing episodes come out. Now, let's keep going and explore what to say when you need to leave a voicemail or message. That's another situation where having the right words can really make a difference. Let's now talk about leaving a voicemail message, something that can feel even more stressful than talking to a real person. Many people freeze up when they hear the beep, but don't worry. With a few simple phrases and a plan, you can leave a message that sounds polite, confident, and clear. First, remember to speak slowly and clearly. Start with your name and the reason for your call. For example, "Hello, this is Maria calling. I'm calling to confirm my appointment for Friday." Or, "Hi, my name is Kevin. I'd like to ask about the job opening I saw online." Then, it's helpful to leave your phone number clearly so they can call you back. You can reach me at 555-123-4567. Say the numbers slowly and repeat them if possible. That's 555-123-4567. If you're nervous, it's okay to write your message down before calling, then read it when the beep sounds. Keep it short and polite, usually no more than 20 or 30 seconds. You can end with a simple, "Thank you. I look forward to your call," or "Please call me back when you have time." If you're calling a company or office and you're not sure who will get the message, you can also add, "This message is for name" at the beginning. Voicemail is very common in English-speaking countries, so practicing this skill is a great way to feel more independent and professional. Don't worry about sounding perfect. What matters most is being clear and respectful. And the more you do it, the more natural it will feel. Ready for more? Let's move on to how to make appointments and reservations by phone. Making an appointment or reservation by phone is one of the most common and practical uses of English. Whether you're booking a doctor's visit, a haircut, or a table at a restaurant, the key is to be clear, polite, and specific. Start with a greeting and introduce yourself. "Hello, this is Anna. I'd like to make an appointment, please." If you're calling a restaurant, you could say, "Hi, I'd like to make a reservation for dinner." Then be ready to give the details. What day, what time, and for how many people. You might say, "Do you have anything available this Friday evening?" Or, "I'd like to book a table for 2 at 7 p.m. If you're calling a salon or doctor's office, try saying, "I need to make an appointment for a haircut," or "I'd like to schedule a checkup." They may ask follow-up questions like, "What day works best for you?" or "Is morning or afternoon better?" It's helpful to practice how to respond to these questions. You can say, "Any time after 3 p.m. is fine," or "I'm free next Tuesday." If they say they're fully booked, a polite way to respond is, "No problem. Do you have anything the following week?" Once the time is set, they might confirm with, "Okay, I have you down for Tuesday at 10 a.m. You should repeat the time to make sure it's correct. "Tuesday at 10 a.m. Perfect, thank you." End the call politely by saying, "Thanks so much," or "I appreciate your help. Have a great day." Making appointments is a great way to build confidence because the structure is usually the same, and the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Sometimes, plans change. You might need to cancel or reschedule an appointment, and it's important to do that in a polite and respectful way. If you know in advance that you can't make it, don't wait. Call as soon as possible. Start the conversation with a greeting and introduce yourself. "Hello, this is Sam. I have an appointment booked for Thursday, and I need to cancel it." Or if you just want to move the appointment to a different time, say, "Hi, I have an appointment on Thursday, but I'd like to reschedule, please." These phrases are simple, clear, and polite. If they ask why you need to cancel, You don't have to go into too much detail. You can say, something has come up, or I have a scheduling conflict. If they ask when you'd like to come instead, you can respond with, do you have anything available next week? Or any time after 2 p.m. would work for me. They might offer you a few choices. Just pick the one that works best for you. Monday at 10 a.m. sounds good. Thank you. After the new appointment is set, repeat the time to confirm. Okay, so I'm now scheduled for Monday at 10 a.m., right? Then, close the call with appreciation. Thanks for your help, or I'm sorry for the inconvenience. These small, polite phrases make a big difference. They show respect for the other person's time and help maintain good communication. Also, if you're ever running late, a quick call to let them know is the right thing to do. Try saying, I'm running a bit late, but I'll be there in about 10 minutes. That small call can make a big impression and shows that you care about being professional and respectful in English. Another everyday situation where you may need to make a phone call in English is when you want to ask for information. This could be anything from checking store hours, asking about a product, or finding out if a place is open. The key to a successful information call is being polite and asking questions clearly. You can begin with a friendly greeting and explain why you're calling. For example, hello, I'm calling to ask about your business hours. Or hi, I have a question about your services. It helps to use question words like what, when, where, how, or can you to start your questions. Try asking, what time do you open on Saturdays? Or, can you tell me if you have free Wi-Fi? When you don't understand something, it's totally okay to say, could you say that again more slowly? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. If you need to take notes while they talk, say, do you mind if I write that down? People usually appreciate it when callers are clear, polite, and respectful of their time. At the end of the call, thank the person for the information. You could say, thanks so much for your help today, or I really appreciate the information. If you're not sure if they answered all your questions, you can ask, that's all I needed to know, thank you. Or, is there anything else I should be aware of? These expressions are common in real English phone calls, and the more you hear and repeat them, the more natural they'll sound when you speak. Practicing this kind of conversation is great preparation for interacting with hotels, offices, shops, or even government services. Now that you know how to ask for information, it's important to practice how to respond to different answers politely and clearly. Sometimes the person you call might give you details quickly, or use words you don't understand right away. When that happens, remember it's okay to ask for repetition or clarification. You might say, sorry, could you repeat that, please? Or, I didn't quite understand, could you explain it again? If the information is about something specific, like an address or a phone number, it's helpful to repeat it back to confirm you heard correctly. For example, so the address is 123 Main Street, right? Or, that's 555-987-6543. Did I get that right? Showing you're paying attention makes the call more successful and friendly. Also, if the person gives you options like available dates, prices, or services, practice how to choose and respond politely. For instance, I'd like the appointment on Wednesday, please. Or, thank you, that price works for me. Remember to use polite expressions like, please, thank you, and I appreciate it throughout the call. These small phrases make a big difference in sounding natural and respectful. Now, Before we move on, if you're finding this episode helpful, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support encourages me to keep making content that helps you improve your English, especially with real-life situations like phone calls. Plus, subscribing means you won't miss our upcoming episodes that will build your skills even more. Thanks for being here and practicing with me. Sometimes when you call, you might not reach the person you want to speak with right away. Maybe the person is busy or you're transferred to another department. In these cases, it's important to stay polite and patient, even if you feel a little frustrated. A good way to handle this is by using polite expressions like, "May I please speak to person's name?" Or, "Could you connect me to the sales department, please?" If the person you want is not available, you can say, "Is there a good time I can call back?" Or, "Can you take a message for me?" If you need to leave a message, remember to give your name, the reason for your call, and your contact information clearly. For example, "Please tell John that Sarah called. I'm calling about the meeting tomorrow. My number is 555-321-7890. If you're transferred to someone else, listen carefully and politely introduce yourself again. "Hello, this is Sarah. I was told you could help me with my order." If you're feeling nervous, take a deep breath and remember that it's normal to feel this way. These phrases and polite habits help you stay calm and professional, which people appreciate. Also, if the phone connection isn't clear or you miss what the other person says, don't hesitate to say, "Could you speak more slowly, please?" Or, "The line is not very clear. Could you repeat that?" Practicing these polite requests will make your phone conversations much smoother and more successful in real life. Sometimes during a phone call, unexpected problems can happen. Maybe the line is bad, you don't understand the person, or you need help but don't know how to ask. It's completely normal to feel a bit lost or nervous in these moments. What helps the most is having simple, polite phrases ready to handle these situations calmly. For example, if the connection is poor, you can say, "I'm sorry, the line is a little unclear. Could you please repeat that?" Or, "I think we lost the connection. Can you hear me?" If you don't understand what the person is saying, don't pretend. You can politely say, "I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Could you say that again, please?" Or, "Could you explain that in a different way?" Asking for help or clarification is not a sign of weakness, but a smart way to make sure you get the right information. If you need more time to think about a question, you can say, "That's a good question. Can I call you back after I check?" Or, "Let me write that down, please." If you're calling a company and you don't know who to speak to, try saying, "Could you please direct me to the person who handles topic?" Using polite and clear language in these situations shows respect and professionalism, which makes the conversation smoother. Remember, every call is practice, and even native speakers sometimes have trouble on the phone. So keep practicing these phrases, and don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Ending a phone call politely is just as important as starting it well. How you finish a conversation can leave a positive, lasting impression and make the other person feel appreciated. When you're ready to wrap up, it's a good idea to summarize what you've discussed. For example, you can say, "So, to confirm, my appointment is scheduled for Tuesday at 3 p.m. This shows that you're paying attention and helps avoid any misunderstandings. After confirming, you can use closing phrases like, "Thank you very much for your help today," or "I appreciate your time." If you want to be extra friendly, add something like, "Have a great day," or "I hope you have a wonderful weekend." These little touches make your English sound natural and polite. If you're not sure when to hang up, listen for the other person to say goodbye first. In many English-speaking cultures, it's polite to let the person you're speaking with end the conversation. However, if the conversation has clearly finished, you can say, "Okay, thanks again, goodbye," or "I'll talk to you soon. Take care." Another important point is to avoid rushing off too quickly. A smooth, friendly goodbye makes the call feel complete and leaves both parties satisfied. Practicing these closing phrases helps you feel confident ending your calls in a professional and polite way. So next time you finish a phone call, try using these tips and notice how it improves your conversations. Phone calls don't always go perfectly smoothly. Sometimes there are awkward pauses, interruptions, or moments when the other person needs to check something or talk to someone else. It's completely normal, and knowing how to handle these situations can make your call feel more natural and relaxed. If there's a pause and you're not sure what to say, you can use simple phrases to keep the conversation going or show that you're listening. For example, saying, "I see," "Okay," or "That makes sense," lets the other person know you're engaged. If the other person needs to put you on hold, you can politely say, "That's fine, I'll wait," or "No problem, take your time." If you feel the call is dragging, or you want to gently bring it to a close, try saying, "Is there anything else I should know?" Or, "I think that covers everything. Thank you." Sometimes, you might need to ask questions to keep the conversation moving, such as, "Could you explain that a bit more?" Or, "What's the next step?" If the line gets interrupted because of technical issues, just stay calm and say something like, "I think we got disconnected. I'll call back in a moment." These phrases show patience and professionalism, which will impress the person on the other end. Remember, phone calls are a skill, and learning to handle these little bumps will make you sound more confident and fluent. Phone calls come in many shapes and sizes. Sometimes you'll be calling a friend or family member, which usually means a relaxed and casual conversation. Other times you might be calling a business, a doctor's office, or even a government agency, which calls for a more formal and polite tone. Knowing how to adjust your language and expressions depending on who you're talking to is an important skill. For casual calls, you might start with, "Hey, how are you?" Or, "It's been a while, what's new?" And use informal phrases like, "Yeah, cool," or "Sounds good." On the other hand, for professional calls, it's better to be polite and clear. "Good morning, this is John Smith. I'm calling regarding my application," or "Could you please help me with?" Formal calls usually require complete sentences and polite words like, "Please," "Thank you," and "I appreciate your assistance." It's also good to avoid slang or very casual language in professional calls. Practicing both styles will help you feel comfortable no matter who you're speaking to on the phone. And speaking of practice, if you're enjoying this podcast and want to keep improving your English skills, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot and helps me create more helpful lessons just for you. Plus, you'll get notifications when new episodes drop, so you never miss a chance to practice real-life English conversations. Sometimes phone calls can be urgent or involve emergencies, and knowing how to communicate clearly and calmly is very important. Whether you're calling for help, reporting a problem, or asking for urgent information, You want to make sure the person on the other end understands the situation quickly. Start with a polite greeting, but get to the point as soon as possible. Hello, I need some help. There's been an accident. Or, hi, I'm calling to report a power outage in my area. Use simple and clear language to explain what's happening. There's a fire at my neighbor's house. Or, my water isn't working and I need someone to fix it today. If you're calling an emergency number, it's important to stay calm and answer their questions clearly. They might ask, "What is your location?" or "Is anyone injured?" Practice answering these questions with short, clear sentences. I'm at 123 Elm Street. Or no, everyone is safe. If you're not sure what to say, just try to be honest and clear. And don't worry about making perfect sentences. Saying "please help me" or "I need assistance" as soon as possible will always be understood. Remember to stay polite and patient, even if the situation feels stressful. After explaining, listen carefully and follow the instructions. Being prepared with these phrases helps you stay calm and communicate effectively during emergencies, which can make a big difference. Leaving or listening to voicemail messages is another common part of making phone calls in English. Sometimes when you call someone, they can't answer, and you'll be asked to leave a message. When leaving a voicemail, it's important to speak slowly and clearly so the person can understand you easily. Start by saying your name and the reason for your call. For example, "Hi, this is Maria. I'm calling about our meeting next week." Then include any important details, like the time or date, or ask them to call you back. You might say, "Please call me back at 555-123-4567, or "Let me know if you're available." Finish your message politely. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. When listening to voicemails, if you don't understand something, it's okay to replay the message or ask someone to help. Sometimes people leave important information, so writing it down is helpful. If you need to call back after hearing a message, you can start the call by referring to the voicemail. "Hi, this is Maria. I'm returning your call from earlier today." Using these phrases makes voicemail communication smoother and less stressful. Practicing both leaving and responding to voicemails helps you feel more confident in real phone situations. It's a great way to improve your English skills and sound more professional on the phone. Practicing phone calls in English can sometimes feel challenging, especially if you're shy or nervous about speaking. But with the right approach, you can build confidence and even enjoy the process. One great way to practice is by role-playing with a friend, teacher, or language partner. Pretend you're making a real call, maybe ordering food, booking a ticket, or asking for information, and take turns playing the caller and the receiver. This helps you get used to the flow of conversation and the common phrases we've talked about. Another idea is to record yourself making a phone call, then listen back to notice your pronunciation and areas to improve. Don't worry about mistakes. Everyone makes them, and the important thing is to keep trying. You can also use online resources or apps that simulate phone conversations, which provide a safe space to practice anytime. Remember to speak slowly and clearly, and don't be afraid to ask the other person to repeat or explain something. Little steps like these help you build fluency and reduce anxiety. The more you practice, the easier and more natural phone calls will become. And the best part? You'll start feeling proud every time you handle a call successfully. In English, understanding phone etiquette and cultural tips is an important part of making phone calls in English. Different cultures have different expectations about politeness, tone, and how formal or casual a call should be. In English-speaking countries like the US, UK, Canada, or Australia, it's common to start calls with a friendly greeting and a bit of small talk before getting to the main point. For example, you might say, "Hi, how are you today?" Or, "I hope you're having a good day," before asking your question or explaining why you called. This helps build rapport and makes the conversation feel more natural. Also, it's polite to use please and thank you often throughout the call. If you need to interrupt politely, phrases like "sorry to interrupt" or "may I ask a question" are appreciated. When speaking to someone older or in a position of authority, it's better to be more formal, using titles like Mr., Mrs., or Doctor, unless they tell you otherwise. Listening carefully and letting the other person finish speaking before you respond is another key part of phone etiquette. Finally, avoid speaking too fast or using slang unless you know the other person well. Paying attention to these cultural tips will help you sound respectful, friendly, and professional on the phone. It's another step toward mastering English phone calls with confidence and ease. As we come to the end of this episode about making phone calls in English, I want to remind you how important practice, patience, and politeness are when speaking on the phone. Today, we covered so many useful phrases, from greeting someone warmly, asking for information clearly, handling unexpected situations, to ending calls politely. Remember, every call you make is a chance to improve your English and gain confidence. Don't worry if you make mistakes. That's part of learning. Keep practicing with friends, role plays, or even by yourself. Before you go, if you found this episode helpful, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll get notified about all the new lessons designed to help you become fluent and comfortable with English in everyday situations. Also, leave a comment below telling me about your experiences making phone calls in English. What was easy, what was hard, and what you'd like to practice more. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much for listening and practicing with me today. I'm excited to help you on your English journey in our next episode. Until then, keep speaking, keep practicing, and have a wonderful day.